1. Background. So I work at a summer day camp and was talking with some of my friends that work there too, and I remembered this. Just so you don't get confused, there are 3 kinds of staff that work with a group of kids for the whole summer. Head counselors run the group, and all other counselors have to report to her. ACs, 11th grade and older, are assistant counselors. Basically, they are normally watching the kids while the head counselor is busy, and help the HC with whatever they need. CITs, 9th to 10th grade, me, have the same responsibilities as ACs, but can't do much as, due to age restrictions enforced by the state, like helping campers change. Last but not least, there are supervisors. They are the people that HCs report to. They can be bossed around by the camp owner. This is all important later. CAST, HC, Group Head Counselor. AC1, Assistant Counselor 1. AC2, you get it. S1, First Supervisor. S2, another supervisor. S3, another one. Me, your gracious squire. EM works at one of the hobby areas, but also the worst mom in the camp. EB, the worst camper ever. Story. This is important later. The EB has had to visit the supervisors nearly every other day. Just to give you a sense of how bad it is, I had been to them once when I was a camper to talk with the supervisor, and I got suspended from the camp for a week because I was cursing. This was in 4th grade. This kid had to meet with them for a wide variety of reasons, from hitting staff to cursing to kicking. Sand in other campers' eyes, this was a 1st grade group, and the only reason why he wasn't kicked out was because his mom worked there. Now to the actual story. Or at least, the worst one that I have from this kid. Basically, we are in an auditorium, and we are supposed to do drama as a hobby. But the woman who worked it wasn't there, so HC decided to play games with the campers. EB didn't want to play though, so instead of sitting with the group on the floor and playing the game, he went onto the stage and started screaming. Me, AC1 and AC2 were chasing him on the stage and trying to get him off, and so he did, and then ran out of the door that was next to the stage. AC1 runs after him, and I go out the main door to cut the kid off. After about 30 seconds of us trying to surround him, we trapped him in a small alleyway behind the nature area and the pool. S1 sees this and asks AC1 what is going on, and he tells her about how EB ran out of the door and how we trapped him. S1 then called S2, our division supervisor, and stood there with us. S2 comes over to me, S1 and AC1 told her what happened, and S2 called S3, technically her assistant, to bring EM to where we were standing. Now I may be a freshman, but I am the center for the varsity team for football due to my size. I'm 6'2", 240 pounds, and can bench press over 540 pounds. When the EM came, the EB tries to run to EM, but I was told by S2 to keep EB there, so I lightly pushed on his chest. I must have shocked the kid because he fell straight onto his ass. The following ensued. "How dare you shove my son! Look what you did!" "I saw what happened, he didn't push EB that hard," said S1. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to have him fall down." "No, it's clear that you were trying to hurt him. Are you okay, EB?" "Yeah," said to me and AC1. "You guys all good?" AC1 responds, "Yeah, pretty much." S2 says, "Hey, AC1 and AC2, you can go back to the group, but tell HC to come over here." I wasn't told to go, as I was the only thing separating EB and EM, and everyone knew that I was pretty much immovable. S3 is crouching to EB's level. "Why did you do that? Do you think it's funny? I don't think that you like coming to me and S2 almost every day, do you?" "No." "Do not disrespect my son like that. I will not stand for this." EM tried to push past me. I just stood there and there wasn't much she could do. "Please stop. We aren't letting you next to EB because we want to speak with you, not comfort him." HC walks over. "About time, can you recount what happened?" HC tells everyone in excruciating detail as to what happened. That's 3 people now saying the same thing. S3, I think that you and EM need to talk about EB's behavior. EB, come with me. We are going to have a talk. S1, we are going to have to go right down and report. OPHC, grab AC1 and AC2. Leave the other ACs with the group, and EB makes one last attempt to run to his mom and get past me, and EM catches this and tries to shove me out of the way, so my instinct to getting hit is to tackle her. EM starts screaming and cursing at me as we get up. S1 and S2 ask, are you guys okay? Yeah, holy god, I got scared and... I'm suing OP in this camp, how dare you? There are cameras all over the place, plus you have at least 4 witnesses, God knows who else was watching. Let's go now. HP asks, are you okay? Yeah, just never mind. Wow, not even concerned with who just got attacked, how dare you? You're worse than EB. Eventually, we all walked away. This was just the second week of an 8-week camp. I haven't seen them since that day. Lucky me. 2. So this happened May of 2019, and I had forgotten about this because I was moving with my family at the time. Some backstory. Me and a few of my friends wanted to host a society-wide scavenger hunt. We tried this independently in 2018, but nobody showed up. So this year, we decided to ask help from the society office members. Me and one of my friends focused on scouting places and making puzzles, while 5 others scouting more volunteers and participants and sponsors. We all helped each other, but mostly focused on what we were supposed to do. So, characters. EL, entitled Lady, me, your boy, M, another friend who made the puzzles with me. S, one of the sponsor scouting members who scouted the EL as a sponsor. Other volunteers and participants aren't important to this story. So we spent more than a month on this event we were all hyped for, especially me and M. EL sponsored less than 10% of all the sponsorship we got. S always sided with EL as he was afraid she will create trouble. Of course, me and M didn't care. We spent a huge chunk of our afternoon almost every day for over a month on scouting, making the puzzles, scrapping the puzzles we made because EL didn't like difficult puzzles, and then we made the next puzzles even more difficult. We made like different puzzles for every team. It was hard work, but we enjoyed it. So I had already informed the team on the first day we met for the event that I won't be available from the 7th of May, as from that day we started all the interior work on the new home, and my parents wanted me and my sister to see all of that. The team approved. I had completed the puzzles before leaving. Me and M wanted the puzzles to be just like we imagined. The last puzzle was to crack the code of a number lock. I wanted the lock to be a 6-digit, but EL wanted only a 4-digit code. I cave in and left on the 7th of May. 8th of May, I got a text in the team group of which EL is a member. She called a bunch of meetings when I wasn't available. She called me about an hour after the time she called everyone. I told her why I wouldn't be available, and she told me that I'm irresponsible and that this event is my baby. Seemed awkward, but I knew what she meant. I ignored that, and the meetings continued. This happened every day, and she called me every meeting. M was a good friend of mine, and she told me EL came an hour late to every meeting, and wasted time in having us explain the puzzles every time, and then doing nothing productive. The event is on the 12th of May. On the 10th of May, I get a text from EL again. She wanted me to make another set of puzzles for her daughter's team. Mind you, the registration for the teams ended a week less than a month ago. She had also done a lot of minor stuff to irritate me and M before this. I called up M and told her what happened as EL PM'd me that request. M was busy in a gym and she told me to handle it myself. I'm a little short-tempered and don't really care about age, gender, status, or whatever when arguing with someone. I took a screenshot of the conversation and put it up on the group so that anyone would help me against EL. The first thing I said was that making puzzles is time-consuming and I am busy. Also, the age limit was 12 to 16 years. Her daughter's team was 18 and over. Not that she didn't approve us allowing a team of all 15 to 16-year-olds, because this would be too easy for them. I called her a hypocrite and told her how wrong this is. I can't allow a new team about a month after the registration has ended. I won't make a new set of puzzles for her daughter's team, as we had agreed not to make any of our family participate to avoid any cheating. EL says that I shouldn't be such an asshole towards adults. I said that I would respect adults if they are good. EL has been a pain for the puzzle team. This is when she said, puzzles aren't important to a scavenger hunt anyway. She says EL and S have done the most work, because scouting of sponsors and ordering cheap snacks, not her literal words. I snapped. I hurled a lot of bad things at her, no swear words. I was so angry as she had done nothing but waste our time. 3. This happened recently. I graduated BCT, Army, recently, and am now an AIT for combat medics. We got 3-day passes to spend with family before and after graduation. We had to wear our ASUs when we went off post, and I was wearing the Class A's. They are really fancy ones, with the wool coat that creates pools of sweat if you even look at sunlight for a few seconds. Personally, I don't mind because they look really good, most people agree. Which brings me to my story. Cast, Bug, me. Mom, best person ever, also a veteran. Dad, buff guy, yet another veteran. EM, seemed polite, killed puppies on the weekends. EK, snotty teen who was in the ROTC program. I'm a classy guy, so I decided to take my family out for some fine dining, since I had just graduated and wanted to celebrate. I thought long and hard and decided to go to IHOP for an omelette. The line was fairly long because it was lunchtime, so everyone had the same idea as me, I guess. Most of the people there were really cool about seeing me, thanking me for my service and everything. I was a little embarrassed. A nice old couple let my family of 3 cut them so we would be in the air conditioning. The old man said that he remembers how hot the uniforms got and chuckled. My dad, being the hoo-ah veteran he is, started talking to the guy, and that's when we all heard the woman behind us speak up. Excuse me, sir. Can my son and I jump in front of you too? My son and I are just trying to get a bite to eat, and we need to go soon.
I'm sorry, but we've also got other things to do. We just let this family cut because I didn't want their young man to die of heat stroke in the sun.
Oh, well, my son is also in the ROTC program at his school, and we know how hot the uniform is, but we really do have to go soon. Dad says, Ma'am, old guy was just doing us a favor, and we don't have long to see our son, so if you don't mind, could you just wait? It took me a few minutes to realize that this woman said ROTC, and also in the same sentence. At this point, we were all in the building and still waiting in line. Ma'am, did you say ROTC? Yeah, maybe you know my son. He's a captain in the ROTC program, she gave the school's name. No, ma'am, I do not. I am not in ROTC. Then why are you wearing the nice uniform? Are you a cosplayer or something? I was, firstly, taken aback that she knew what cosplay is, and secondly, confused that she didn't put 2 and 2 together, that we were 30 minutes away from a military base. Mom says, Isn't cosplay that hentai thing? No, my son is genuine army.
Then why doesn't he have any of the ribbons?
That got me a little defensive, I'll admit, because I haven't done anything to deserve them.
Whatever. You're probably just some weirdo wearing the ASUs to cut in lines and get compliments.
At this point, a lot of people were looking at us, and I was pretty embarrassed. I hadn't seen my family in 2 months, and I didn't want my dad to start a scene. So that's exactly what he did. Are you saying we are fucking lying, kid? Don't use that language around me, my son is right. I don't see any reason to believe your son is in the army. He looks like he's barely even 16. 'Cause the kid is a stick. I remember when I got through basic, I wasn't much bigger than him.
I was a skinny thing throughout most of my military career, too.
He was. I remember the first time I saw him, I also thought he was too young to be in the army.
Now, a funny thing about me is even though I just spent 2 months getting screamed at and dropped for every little thing, this was starting to bother me a lot. Not them doubting I was in the army, I had only gotten out of BCT that day. But the scene they were causing. I'm a lot like my dad. He was infantry, so a hothead. Look, kid, and ma'am, I'm not going to prove me being in the army, but could you please just leave us alone? I didn't mean to upset you, I was just confused about your ROTC comment.
Kid, my son outranks you, asshole!
My mom started to cackle at that. She went quiet throughout this because she isn't the confrontational type. It was a jag, so duh. No offense, Mom.
Why are you laughing, bitch?
Mentally, I'm going, fucking what? About to half-right face this lady. My dad, I assume, was thinking,
that's my bitch, you're gonna get it.
Oh, I'm sorry, says Mom. I was just laughing that you think pimples over there outranks Bug. A pretty deadly blow from a normally internally polite woman. I could see the kid raise his hands to touch his forehead, and felt kind of bad. I remember my pimples. Y'all, let's just go somewhere else. I'm really embarrassed right now and would rather not ruin everyone's day.
Can we have your spot then? There's still a long wait and you're leaving.
A worker had walked over at this point and asked the woman to step off to the side with him. She did, and there was a lot of hand gestures, and the woman and her kid ended up just going somewhere else, I guess. All in all, not a big deal, but it was embarrassing, and kind of put a damper on my mood for a little while. I did end up getting my omelette. It was better than MRE's, to say the least. 4. So when I was a teenager, some issues with my parents led to me falling into the care of my nicer aunt, henceforth N.A. About a year into me living with N.A. and her kids, her husband was a trucker and frequently gone, but he will be T.U., my manipulative bitch of an aunt, this story's lucky EP, henceforth EA, managed to weasel her way into her and her family, staying for a few months because she got herself kicked out of her old place. A few months after EA moved in, about a year or so ago, her daughter, ED, started to complain about my Magic the Gathering decks, and Dungeons and Dragons books being in the dining room. For clarification, the stuff was sitting on a small table out of the way in the dining room, because I would frequently play D&D with my male cousins, and play MTG with both my male cousins and TU, while EA always had a habit of throwing away things she didn't care about, even if the stuff wasn't hers. She approached me and the conversation went as followed.
You need to get your shit out of the dining room.
It's not like it's in the way, plus NA and TU said I could leave it there since I use that stuff to play with my cousins, frequently.
Well, ED said that it was in the way, and she didn't appreciate it taking up so much space.
It's in an organized pile on top of a small table that no one uses.
I don't care. Get your shit out of the dining room, or I'm throwing it away.
You do that, and I'm footing you the bill to replace it all.
You don't have the right to demand anything of me.
You are the guest, and it's my stuff that I had permission to keep there. You have no right to touch it.
You would just look up crazy expensive prices for them because you hate me.
No, I would give you their current market prices, be they higher or lower than what I originally paid for them.
Why the hell would I give you more than what you paid for them?
Because values of collector's items change over time depending on supply and demand. You would be paying the current price to replace them.
I'm not replacing anything.
Then you aren't throwing my stuff away.
Whatever.
She walks off in a huff back to her room. Skip to about a week and a half later. TU is back in town for a weekend. He and I are playing MTG when EA comes in to try starting trouble again.
Your nephew there has been causing me a lot of stress and tried bossing me around.
What did he do?
He was demanding money from me, accusing me of destroying his things.
TU turns to me. This true? Not really. She was threatening to throw away my MTG and D&D stuff. I told her that if she did, I would be expecting her to replace it. I see.
Even if I did do it, it's just a few books and cards. How much could that possibly be?
TU turns to me. Well, you're the one who buys most of your cards and books. How much would it be? Well, the 3 books have an MSRP of $20 each, but they're from 2000 and out of print. The most readily available versions would be the latest release.
$60 for 3 books?
Hold on a second before you get too ahead of yourself. That was back in 2000. The 5th edition books, which run about $50 each or $100 for the box set of 3.
He's just pulling these numbers out of his ass.
Let him finish. Then I have about $30 to $40 worth of dice. Before we even get to the cards, there are 4 deck boxes worth $10 each and 2 worth $15 each, and then 6 boxes of card sleeves at $10 each.
That's like $160 plus $100 for the books.
I'm not going to ask you again, let him finish. I point to each deck as I go along. That deck is about $30, that deck is about $60, that one is about $40, that one is about $80, that one is $290, and the one in the sleeve box is about $30. And how much is that in total? It's $790 before shipping.
He's making all that up.
Is that true? Not at all. I keep my decks logged in this app. It gives me the market price for each card, not counting basic lands, which I have plenty of. TU turns to EA. Well, there's your quote with proof. If you throw his shit away, you owe him a minimum of $800, and if you refuse, you can find somewhere else to live. Like you were technically supposed to have been doing this whole time. I will not have a guest throwing away the property of someone who actually lives here.
Whatever.
Walks back off to her room in a huff. Now that's all over, whose turn was it again? It's your turn. You were just about to untap. 5. This just happened about 11 days ago during my stepdaughter's wedding reception, with the EM being her mother. EM has been an EM for as long as I have known her, 20 years. But it's almost as if she was biding her time, waiting for this day to shine as the EM she truly is. For context, this woman has cheated on every single man she's ever had a significant relationship with. When SD was planning the wedding, she was considering having 4 of the men in her life who have had a major impact take turns walking her down the aisle. EM said,
"You can't do that. It will make me look bad."
Like, bish, you did that yourself. This is how delusional this woman is. Anyway, on to the story. Or rather 5 mini-stories that happened throughout the day. Pre-ceremony. I sat in the left side front window, aisle seat, empty space to my left, and my son next to that space. My hubby, SD's father, walking SD down the aisle, and I planned to move into the empty space so he could sit on the aisle seat after giving away the bride. As soon as I moved over, EM came out of nowhere and plopped her giant butt down into the aisle seat. I didn't want to make a scene during SD's wedding, so I just let it go. But I wanted to push her off the seat and tell her to get lost.
She said, "They told me to sit here."
There was no they, and nobody told her to sit there. Between the ceremony and the reception is when the professional photographs were taken. It took more than an hour. Not surprisingly, SD's 1-year-old son started to get impatient and hungry. EM set him in his high chair at her table and gave him a tray full of watermelon. What's wrong with this, you ask? The boy had been the ring bearer, so was needed for some of the photographs, and he was still wearing his white dress shirt. SD was livid when the boy was brought over for his photos and was covered in bright pink stains. Because EM is notorious for making things needlessly difficult, SD didn't want her involved in any of the wedding planning, including but not limited to decorating. The night prior to their wedding, SD set up the reception area exactly how she wanted it, so it was ready for the big day. A table near the dance floor included a rustic tree with photos hanging from it of loved ones who had passed, and thus could not join the couple for their day. SD specified that the memorial table was to be kept clear of any other items, so that the loved ones would be the focus. While the couple was having their photographs taken, EM began her meddling. She removed a honeymoon fund box from the gifts and cars table and set it up on the memorial table, along with the leftover party favors. Cheesy little foam camouflage can koozies. On the memorial table. SD's dad and I couldn't keep quiet over this one, and let SD know what EM had done. SD turned to me, once again livid, with a simple, "Move them back." I replied with a knowing grin, "I thought so," and so we moved them back. Along the same lines, after she finished redecorating the memorial table, EM did something that still boggles my mind. I get that she's the mother of the bride, but there are some things that even the mother of the bride just should not do. This woman had the audacity to rearrange the head table. The head table. The centerpiece of the reception. The place where most of the photographs would be taken during the reception. The table that the bride had decorated in exactly the way she wanted it. Nope. EM decided she could do it better. Who does that? Finally, to top off the night, EM had one last trick up her sleeve. SD's 1-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter were going home with SD's dad, my hubby, and me to spend the week with us while SD and her new hubby went on their honeymoon. It would be the first time for the little one to sleep over at our house. Because we knew it would be hard on him being someplace new in the first place, we wanted to make sure he was actually tired and ready to sleep when we got home, so hopefully he would crash instead of lying awake crying. Nope. EM decided she knew better. She took the boy with her and sat down on a swinging bench, snuggled him up to her, and rocked him to sleep. It was about 8 p.m. that night, and we wouldn't be getting the kids home until around 10 p.m. as it was. So having him sleep that close to bedtime meant that he would never go back to sleep when it was time. I'd had enough. I'm surprised I was able to be kind, but I went up to her and said, "We don't want him sleeping now, since he won't sleep when we get him home."
"But he hasn't slept all day."
"I realize that, but it's too close to bedtime now. He will be wide awake when he should be sleeping later."
"Oh, I didn't know."
"Okay, well, I'm not good at confrontation, so I just started to walk away. Next thing I see is SD looking angry and storming over toward EM and me. For a moment, I thought she was mad I had said anything to her mother. I should have known better, because next thing I know, she's walking up to me with baby boy in her arms, and she says jokingly, "Next time I have to tell off my mother and take my kid away from her, don't walk away." We laugh, and she hands me baby boy, who I snuggle with but keep awake until we pack up and leave an hour or so later. EM could then be found sulking on the bench swing, looking ever so sorry for herself after the tongue-lashing I imagine SD gave her. Somehow, I couldn't make myself feel bad for her. As the saying goes, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She played stupid games all day, and all she won was finding herself alone on a swing at the end of the day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents. IPOP number 21, and thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I almost saved the bride's story for another video. I'm working on something kind of related, but I decided just to go ahead and pop it in this one. I think it fit a little better in this one. It's always that weird thing. I start to feel myself become more energized as I get close to the finish line. Where was that energy when I started? Grumble, grumble. Okay, with that I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.